Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, version 2.4 has just dropped, and we've pulled Cartethyia. We've leveled her up a little bit, but now it's time for us to take her all the way to level 90, with her weapon as well, and do a little bit of testing. We're going to be doing a lot of testing today, actually. We're going to be using her in her best-in-slot team with AeRover and Ciaccona, and then also giving her a bit of a spin with some of her more free-to-play friendly options. Think your Sanhuas, your Shorekeepers, your Varinas, and your Altos to see just how powerful this unit is. So without further ado, let's go ahead, let's get right on into it. But before we begin, if you're looking to pick up Cartethyia or her weapon and might purchase some Lunite, you'd probably like to save some cash. LD Shop is a fantastic way of doing that, and I'll show you exactly why. LDshop.gg gives you access to huge discounts on pretty much anything you can buy in a ton of games. But let's click on Wuwa for now. The monthly pass? Usually it's $5 dues, but on LD Shop, it'll be much less. What a deal! To claim one of these discounts, just select the item you're looking for and click Top Up to submit your payment. You'll need your Kuro linked account email, password, and username. This might seem a bit off, but remember that LD Shop already works with sensitive account information with their emulator, LD Player, so you can trust them for their services. They also have excellent reviews on Trustpilot. If you created an account with Gmail or Facebook, use the directions in the top-up menu to link your account to an email. After finalizing your payment info, wait a couple of minutes and your items will be on your account. New users can get a 15% discount and an additional 5% using my sponsored link, and first-time top-up bonuses are available as well. That means you can get some big discounts. Spending $80 or more will net you a VIP membership, which can get you a free 30-day Lunite subscription. So try LD Shop today. So, we've got everything we need, I think, to level her up. Let's just get it all going. Hopefully, I've got enough mats. Some of the extra testing that we'll be doing is with her on Emerald of Genesis. With her on Emerald of Shut up. Stop talking.
Every ounce of trust I earned was consumed by the Threnodian. How ironic that the power I gained to protect others once served to sustain my nemesis. But I know I cannot let this fear hold me back. The Sentinel granted me life, and I must honor that blessing by guarding all that remains in their stead.
Anyways, so we'll be trying her with Emerald of Genesis as well, and not her signature. All right, she's level 90. There we go. All right, we don't have to hear that again. Good God. We got Defier's Thorn. Let's get it going. Boom. Are we gonna have enough experience to go to 90? Did we, chat, did we fuck up? Hey, we're good. All right, so the weapon is now level 90. Now let's get into, not looking at her echoes yet, because don't worry, we don't have her pre-farmed, because I don't think anybody does at this point in the patch. Let's get into some of her upgrades. Of course, we're going to want to do everything in the side trees. Without a doubt, her inherent skill, like this one over here, that gives Rover Arrow a bit of a buff. So what you're going to want to do when it comes to her skill priority is, of course, level up her Forte Circuit first, because that's going to be, there's a lot of scaling related to this ability. You're gonna want to level up this bad boy first because it's that's gonna be all of the attacks in the Fleur-de-Lis form. And if you don't have this at a relatively high level, well, your Fleur-de-Lis or your Cartethyia as a whole, they're not gonna really do that much damage at all. Let's just get everything to like a bit of an acceptable baseline. I would say the priorities over here are gonna be her Forte Circuit as well as her Resonance Liberation. So do keep that in mind. I know we're leveling up her intro skill, but that's because it's only going to be kept at about level 6, because I don't want to spend a single weekly boss mat on something like an intro skill. So yeah, okay, we've got everything in the gold territory now, and so because I don't have to use any more purple mats on everything, now I can just go ahead and start the purification process. And that's just going to be turning everything into the blues and then turning all the blues into purples. And then you can probably imagine what I'm going to do with the purples. I probably made too many. So that is going to be the Cartethyia that we're going to be working with, ladies and gentlemen. She's looking pretty stacked. The last thing that we're going to be ending up doing now is equipping her echoes. And you might be wondering,
Now, Saint, you haven't farmed Windward Pilgrimage yet. What are you going to be doing, you dumbass?
and that's the thing. We're intentionally going to be nerfing ourselves a little bit because, A, I already have a Gust of Welkin set kind of ready to go for her. And we're just going to be using this one instead. Because we are going to be missing 10% crit rate but we're going to factor that into the judgment that we're going to give overall for the character, because I don't think 10% crit rate is like the end of the world to like not have on the unit. And we're also going to be running Cartethyia on a 4-3-3-1-1 set. I've already talked about numerous times how I think that actually a 4-4-1-1-1 set is actually the best one to run on this unit. But for the sake of testing, this is what we're going to be using. And you can see over here, this is what our stats are looking like on a 4-3-3-1-1 Gust of Welkin set. And if this was on Windward Pilgrimage, you could just imagine this would actually read 73% crit rate instead. And so this is kind of why you want to run like a 4-4-1-1-1 instead. I know that this isn't going to be the optimal set for the Cartethyia, but it's just what we're going to be running for our initial testing today. And you can imagine, you could expect the results to be slightly better with 10% more crit rate. If you're actually going to be, you know, fully building her, you'll probably want to run a crit rate forecast and then a critical damage forecast as well. And then 3 HP 1 costs. And that'll be the optimal set to go. But nobody's going to have this an hour and 30 minutes after the patch drops, and so that's why we're running this right now, so we can get the testing out as fast as possible. Now that we're all set to go, now that we're all ready, and now that I've done my dailies, let's get into the Tower of Adversity and give these teams a bit of a spin. Speed running it this time, ladies and gentlemen. The first team that we're going to be running up on is actually going to be AeRover, Ciaccona, and, of course, Cartethyia. And this is kind of like the team, right? That everyone's been like, oh, right, like this is the one that like, this is the one that's gonna be best in slot. This is the one that everyone's gonna run. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna slot in AeRover with Bellborn Giocholone. They're gonna be really, really, really low investment. And what I mean by really, really, really low investment is that they're not really meant to deal damage. They're supposed to be here just to buff every other character on the team. But they're not really going to be buffing Cartethyia, though, because she scales with HP. And so they're mainly only going to be buffing Ciaccona. And Ciaccona's going to be over here, and she's going to have kind of her best in slot stuff. 126 ER, and she's also going to have her signature as well as Gust of Welkin, the full set over here. That's all going to be active. And so that's just some stuff to think about. This team has high investment in some areas and then low investment in others. Do recall that AeRover is going to have a buff to their Forte circuit from having Cartethyia in their team, so they'll be able to shorten their rotation time by at least a plunge attack or two. Let's get it going.
Tempest of slashes.
And then we ultimate over here instead of doing the plunge. And then we're full on our Forte.
Thanks for watching. Solo time.
And we're ready to go. I did miss Ciaccona's Forte circuit over here. All right.
Too reckless.
Uh-oh.
Repent.
All right, we're ready.
For silence beckons. Sounding the death knell. March on. Finality. My blade.
All right, here we go.
Purge all.
Boom.
Wind calls, waves follow. The wicked. I am the tempest.
Hopefully this helps.
Wind rises.
Bro, Rover's trying to have like Rover's trying to land his Forte circuit over here.
The wicked will face
Thanks for watching.
judgment.
Let the show begin. Perish. Oceans, bow before me.
Oh my god.
Sentence before. Sounding the death knell.
We didn't even do 2 rotations with that bad boy. I guess the Fleur-de-Lis is feeling some real power with that one. That was pretty close to an optimized rotation. I did waste a couple of resources over there. On a non-max character, I mean, everybody is relatively maxed over here. And this is a 4-3-3-1-1. Let's give this one more try. And this time, I'm going to try to make this as crisp as possible. We're going to have the good old Crownless come in, right? And then we're just going to be on AeRover.
Rises.
Get those 2 attacks off, right? And then, boom, and then use their liberation.
Unfettered by bounds.
Hopefully this helps.
And then swap off, right? And then skill, cancel,
Perfect chord.
and then use the heavy attack, and then swap over to Ciaccona.
Crumble.
And then now we got the sword coming out, right? And then use our plunge attack,
Repent.
and now we have all the buffs.
Silence beckons.
And now we're gonna skill, be in the air,
Tides, rise and crash. Exonerate.
and then heavy attack, and then use another heavy attack.
Furious tides.
And then boom, use that final hit, boom, and the music stops. And then we go back onto AeRover.
Tempest of slashes. The wicked. Will I?
Okay, a little bit awkward on the second rotation over here, but it is what it is.
The pitch is lowered.
It looks like we are missing a bit of an ability over here because my Ciaccona had no energy. But it is what it is, right?
Oceans,
Here we go.
bow before me. Charge forth with me. Tides, rise and crash. Till the denouement.
Oh, and we aren't able to do the second rotation without absolutely obliterating this fraud. That is going to be the sample rotation after we made it look a little bit more sweaty. Do recall, this is the second time I'm ever using this character, so we'll get better with time. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's give this one a bit of a try.
Astral modulation.
Stay behind me. Lotus pervade.
Be gone, wicked souls!
A chain.
Perish! Oceans.
Here we go.
Bow before me. Sentence before. Exonerate. My blade. Purge all evil.
Ordained. Float in war with time.
All right, here we go.
Stay behind me. Like frigid depths.
Such is the
A chain. Collapse your perception. True form. Revealed at last. Sounding the death knell. Vexing malice. Windstorm.
Boom.
Sweep all away.
vow from the soul.
You guys might be saying 5 to 6 rotation clear. Guys, these are some of the fastest rotations I've ever seen a team do before.
Stay behind me. Frozen blockade. Perish your perception.
Such is that blessing.
Oh shit, I'm missing some energy over here. Oh, that's a little bit unfortunate. Oh, we're kind of shredding him like this though.
Oceans, bow before me. Vexing malice. Till the denouement. The tide, furious tides, split the heavens.
If it's a duel you want. Ordained. Floating. Iron graft you knew.
Almost didn't clear.
Crumble. trial isn't over
There might be
yet.
something I'm doing horrifically wrong on this team.
Too reckless.
I think it's because my ER is only like 106. I think it's because my ER is only like 116. I will say though, I do think that with her having some of that additional crit rate from having a 4-4-1-1-1 set, I think it's gonna feel a lot stronger. Why did it feel like Carti small form did more damage than the big one? I guess that's the thing, right? That is the issue when you have a passive like this. And if you don't have AeRover, you can't get more than 3 stacks of erosion. And so she's stuck at only 30% more damage. And this is the thing. We're also overcapping on additional damage taken. I would say for a 4-3-3-1-1, I'm not surprised that it's not like the craziest results ever because 4-4-1-1-1 is better. We're using a suboptimal set and we're also using a suboptimal echo set as well. So that's just going to be what it's looking like for testing. And we'll make sure to do a follow-up video after this once we have her on the new set with a 4-4-1-1-1 set. And so I guess the last test that we'll be doing for this one is actually going to be having, instead of Sanhua, AeRover. We don't have Rejuvenating Glow on Rover, but I don't think it's a big deal.
Low astral modulation.
Wind call.
Wind howls.
Unfettered by bounds.
Perish!
Will fate.
Destroy!
Oceans,
Here we go.
bow before me. Tides, rise and crash. Exonerate. Quietus. Furious tides.
There we go. Boom.
Split the heavens.
And as you can see, the damage appears to be a little bit better.
From the heart. Loading in war with time.
Wind call. The wicked. Waves rise. Judgment strikes.
crumble. The trial isn't over yet. Repent.
And we'll do one last swap over here.
Vexing malice. The haunting whispers return. Finality. My blade.
Oh,
Purge all
this is just
evil.
gonna be a regular clear. Never mind. We'll show the swap tech later.
Ordained.
How long do you have to go in the story for mats for an upgrade? About 5 minutes. About 5 minutes into the story to get the mats. You don't have to go very far.
Wind
Don't worry.
calls, waves follow. The wicked will face judgment.
Wind howls.
Unfettered
Yeah.
by bounds.
I skipped everything. It did not take very long.
Heavens, descend! True form, revealed at last. Atonement. Sounding the charge. I won't back down. Be gone with windstorm. Sweep all away.
It is pretty cinematic to end like that, though. I will say it is pretty cinematic to end like that. So yeah, that's gonna be what it looks like with the. I guess this is the thing, though, guys. I do realize I've done all of this testing.
There
And
for everyone.
don't get mad at
As
me.
we head toward
Rover
our
was on
shared
Red
future,
Spring the whole time,
leaving the
and
past
so
behind.
Cartethyia was actually supposed to be doing more damage. Yeah, I realized that I was missing some ER, so Rover's been on Red Spring the whole time, so Cartethyia is missing about 10% arrow damage amp. Do keep that in mind for the Rover teams. She was clearing just fine with some of the other ones, but just do keep that in mind moving forward. Now we're gonna do one last team for some testing over here, and that is actually gonna be Rover, Sanhua, Cartethyia.
For silence beckons. Sounding the death knell. The haunting whispers return.
And now we're gonna switch back to Cartethyia, right? And then get a little... Oh dear, we died. Yeah, make sure when you're switching back to Cartethyia, you're a little bit careful, because she might get fragged during, like, a pop-off move, like Crownless's special skill over there. Yeah, he kind of does a lot of damage during that.
Waves rise.
He kind of does a lot over there.
Hopefully this helps.
Stay behind me.
Will fate
Frozen blockade. Collapse your perception. True form revealed at last. Time. The haunting whispers return. Till the denouement. Windstorm.
You need to switch to Rover mid-rotation to keep the stacks up. Well, that would be true if AeRover could apply Aero Erosion stacks, but they can't. So, yeah, I don't really know what you're saying right now.
Tempest.
Hopefully this helps.
Stay behind me. Lotus pervade. Trumble your perception. The trial isn't over yet. Repent. For silence beckons. Sounding the haunting whispers return. The time. You won't. Tide, my blade. Purge all evil.
Wind calls. Wave. Tempest of slashes. Good.
Hopefully this helps.
Waves rise. Judgment. The wicked.
Stay behind me. Shackles be gone. A chain. Perish perception. Such oceans.
All right, here we go.
Bow before me. Gales purified. Sounding the death knell. March on. The haunting whispers return. Furious tides. Split the heavens. The trial isn't over yet.
I feel like I messed up with this team somewhere. Or maybe this team is just really lacking just because of the lack of damage amp on Rover. Yeah, I feel like I messed up something over here, or the small Cartethyia form is just dealing a lot more damage, to be honest. Or it's really just the lack of her being on her best in slot set. Because once again, we are on 4-3-3-1-1. And that could really just explain a lot of the issues that we're having over here, getting her to function in other teams. Those are going to be the initial baselines. Those are going to be the initial sort of tests. You might be wondering, oh man, this team is not performing that well. Or Saint's Cartethyia looks like she's a piece of shit. But the end reality is, ladies and gentlemen, the builds are lacking in a lot of different ways. Because first and foremost, right, when it comes to the overall builds, she's on the wrong set. She's supposed to be on Windward Pilgrimage. She's on Gust of Welkin. So that's the first sort of like tick mark we have to have against her. Second, when it comes to AeRover, they're also supposed to be on, not Gust of Welkin, they're also supposed to be on Windward Pilgrimage. And so they don't have that bonus either. And so the end result is that in Cartethia's team, Ciaccona, or whoever her teammates are actually supposed to be dealing a little bit more extra damage relative to it. And right now, we're working with some half-baked sort of stuff over here. So yeah, at the end of the day, we're going in with basically unbuilt characters. We scuffed together some stuff to, you know, get some first impression testing. I have to say, she functions very well in her Aero Erosion team, but at the end of the day, to get to see and realize her full potential, we're gonna have to see what she looks like when her entire team is at a higher level of investment. Because, and this is the big thing, guys, you realize I was running Moonlit Clouds on a Sanhua, right? This buff does nothing for her. She's an HP scaler. This attack buff of 22.5% for Moonlit Clouds does nothing for Cartethyia. And you know, on the Shorekeeper team, right? This rejuvenating glow buff also does nothing for Cartethyia. And so, in the circumstance that you are running, let's just be honest here, this team over here, Shorekeeper, Sanhua, you gotta make sure your Cartethyia is able to pull her own weight, because, guys, they're both on Sonata sets that are not buffing her at all. And so that's where I think a lot of the misconceptions with this character are going to come from, because guys, she's an HP scaler. All of her attacks scale off of
The power
HP.
to split.
And that's going to come
matter.
with some complications of its own, especially with all the buffers that are existing in the game. That also means that dual DPS might be a really interesting team to use her with. And so when it comes to Cartethyia on Emerald of Genesis, I am just going to wait to actually try her out on that set until I actually have Windward Pilgrimage on a 4-4-1-1 set ready to go. Because right now, I don't think that I'm going to be doing the character very much justice, trying her out on like some dinky Gusts of Welkin set, knowing just how much synergy she has with a 4-4-1-1-1 set. And so once we do a little bit of grinding, once we get, you know, echoes like the Kelpie, get some additional copies of Remedy Fleur-de-Lis on the new set, and are able to, you know, get some better substats on all of those, that's when we'll start doing some more additional testing. But for now, I have to say, I really don't think it's going to be a fair shake for the unit for me to go in with both a suboptimal Echo set as well as a suboptimal weapon to give some final judgments on the unit. Those will be the initial thoughts. Let me know what you all think. I think we've done a thorough overview with our first impressions of the unit. Do keep in mind, we will be revisiting all of these teams once we get some higher tier sets on everybody involved. Let me know what you all think. Peace.